Alrighty, daily trading recap for this Friday, the 5th of November, 2021. Gonna try to keep this one super short because it was a pretty super short day. Lots of earning plays out there, which kind of disrupt the normal news catalyst type of trades we like to go on for that type of manipulation and volatility, but still opportunity nonetheless, always. SPY another all-time high once again, climbing out of the morning session, but afternoon looks pretty dumpy here, but still freaking beautifully skyrocketing on the daily perspective. Market internals for other housekeeping. We are hour and 19 minutes after the close here. $303 billion volume in the NASDAQ. Awesome to see that surpassing $300 billion volume. Nice to see also surpassing that $300 billion volume mark, getting a little bit more dollar volume to come back into the market. OTC's $3.2 billion volume as well. Good to see that. One trade for me on the day, pretty hard loss on PTPI. We'll get into that right now. Looking for a third day surge play similar to the potential that we saw out of OLB from yesterday that I just completely thought I was saving myself by not chasing it because of how many times I've screwed myself over of seeing it green and just kind of blindly buying green at that point. But of course, that was the trade from that point when I was watching around 7.4-ish. From there, thinking to get a possible entry, but golly, that's what I was looking for, the thesis on PTPI today. Also had Chris on the call today, which was great to reconnect there and pick his brain on different ideas as well. And then kind of also trying to simultaneously watch Tui, who had an awesome live stream today. Highly, highly, highly recommend for myself to rewatch that tape again after I've already watched it 5-6 times at this point now. After this trade of the same thesis for this style of trade that he was looking for. He was obviously in far earlier and identifying more bid supports within this minute candle. Second minute out of the open, had like a 285-ish average I think he was in at, playing this from a lot earlier and a lot more comfortable perspective than I was when I was kind of half watching the tape on this one, half seeing the volume come in, half looking at what he was saying of he was in this one. So not a completely terrible entry, a little bit chasey. Obviously want to be far better, so not an A+ rating in my book for what this monthly goal was of trying to be more ninja-like precision-wise with this entry as an execution, but give myself a little bit of slack that perfection necessarily wasn't attainable with everything else that was going on and what I was trying to take in, how much information was trying to go in at this point. Took a little bit bigger of a size for how confident I was in this one, seeing that OLB just happened yesterday, and this one I felt had the same potential for the healthcare company that it is, the 4.9 million floater, the sketchy news that it had on the 3rd there. Yeah, felt very confident, and especially the levels that it was holding yesterday, continuing to climb just a little bit into the market hours today, through after hours, through pre-market today too. Thought we were going to see a similar type of run out of this one, but just was not in the works. Super low, as Tui mentioned, or as Tui's words said it, of super thin spread, which is, I think, a great way to describe it. I called it a pretty wide spread. We were trading from like 2.8 to 2.9 almost at times of how wide it was. And yeah, just very thin. And bid support came in, and I think that's when Tui would slap that entry for his trade, seeing, okay, there's bid support, and now it's slapping the ask. Now we're getting price movement to the upside. It's continuing to break through nice levels of 2.9 here. Using that as a confirmation for his trade. Where was I going with that? But also pairing in mind too, as he's mentioning, even before I think market opens, even before he's in the trade, mentioning, man, these things can go as quickly against you as they can go in your favor. And what a great reminder of this after it broke low of day again. A quick and sharp reversal from that high of day that almost tapped to a new low of day with very minimal volume. Just did not take a lot for this thing to immediately collapse, crumble back down. So a great reminder that if it's feeling iffy, if there's not a great and overwhelming bid support, it can just as easily destroy you as it can build you to the upside. So a great learning lesson all around on that one, even though it was a pretty big loss dollar-wise for comparatively what I've been taking these past few trading days. Might look into, I didn't think Bryce was trading with hotkeys, but I think he was just pushing with buttons. I don't know. I would be interested in seeing if he actually does use hotkeys, because that was a very quick entry for when he was talking or what he was doing, but it's probably similar to what I'm doing right now with the active trader window. But I've never really done that, playing around with the hotkeys on Thinkorswim to see if that gives me any advantage or just eases my mind a little bit of trying to locate the button and push there versus just having my fingers on the keyboard, knowing, still keeping my eyes on the chart and not having to even that just a little millisecond flash looking away from the chart, maybe that saves me something in the end, but just something to mess around and play with. So recommend for me, again, as I'm watching this back, pull up that live stream with 2A again. Great watch of everything he was seeing, how he was talking through that when he's getting the entry. You can see him push that button when he's getting that entry of, and you can see the level 2 on the chart as well, which is awesome. As he's identifying, okay, there's bid support there. Okay, now it's smacking the ask. Great entry point there. Even though this was a failed trade, I think it still sets up better for the future when these ones do actually end up working out. So great all around on that one. XELA was my longer term trade, little swing trade that I had 50 shares from these past few days ago. Started in on Wednesday. 2038, I think, was my entry. The holding in this kind of wedge pattern, triangle-ish pattern, looks a little bit clearer on the 1 hour candle chart of where we're holding here. We can draw the lines. Sure, why not? Of high here. We were kind of getting a little bit extended in that wedge. You can even draw it from this low all the way here. So thought something to yesterday was actually going to happen, but just still held, didn't really do anything, and we were actually looking pretty nice in this pre-market. And I was potentially thinking about sizing up, but then realized after seeing these little indicators down here, oh, it's got earnings coming up. So kind of stopped me from adding more and risking whatever earnings came out. And obviously it was negative earnings. They did not like those projections. So I ended up pulling it up a few minutes after this came out, so I was able to scale out at 186. I believe I got super small position size. I think actually became like a $7 loss though, after all in all. Just more learning experience. And again, another point to never hold these things around earnings, just completely. If earnings are anywhere near the timeline of the trade, just set and forget it. Even if you think you've got it nicely figured out, even with such a great technical indicator of a wedge like this one and a former runnerness that this was, just forget about it. Don't try to be a hero and predict these things unless you're paying people to watch jets take out of an airport, and that's a reference in itself. But so those were the 2 trades that I had on the day and took off pretty early after market open. But man, wanting to get short APDN, this was one of the hot ticket ones that would fit this criteria that I'm trying to match for this afternoon fade style trade of the pre-market news catalyst. Nice little spike. It actually kind of reverses or fakes out as a morning dump trade where you get the pretend false support of VWAP, but then it pretty much reverses after that, spikes to the new high of day, and that's really all that was it for the pre-market momentum. Falls back down to VWAP, and that was your ticket there. That even at that point too, convincing myself, do I want to trade the morning dump pattern here of using that as my entry and risking the high of day once again? Do I feel like that pattern has been repeatable in this recent market of and then I always come back to convince myself, no, stick to the plan. We're looking for the afternoon fade, or post morning volatility fade, I should say, not necessarily afternoon fade, but let it do whatever it wants to do. I was thinking we would hold a little bit better, not necessarily crack through this regional low of 6.6 and look more weak into market open. It just didn't have it in the cards today. Float on this one was 6.1 million as well. So low floater again, of not willing to take the step in front of the train on a morning dump trade if this one was to just kind of reverse. And it is a Friday as well. So Fridays aren't usually the greatest day for these morning dump setups, that they just spike and fade within this one day that they normally, shorts trying to play them on Friday, normally have a little bit more scaredness because they don't want to be holding over the weekend. So they may be forced to, if some levels start to become emotional, more action can come in on the covering side that can fluctuate these things. So kind of pairing all that in as we get this little reclaim to VWAP. I think Chris was actually trying to get long this one for the break to the upside of VWAP, and in the back of my head I'm thinking this could be the time to get short. This could be similar to what was the one yesterday, or the WIMIs, or the other style of ones that they just really no amount of morning volatility. You get a little rise here. We're coming from 6.4 to VWAP, which is around 6.8, so 5-7%, that would be potentially that it's reclaiming still. But God, do I think it could have more? Do I wait till the 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time frame to actually start getting short? And even looking at this chart of how much better of a fill I could be getting while it's rejecting VWAP here still as a short entry thesis, even still trying to play the afternoon fade, or the probable prediction that this thing is gonna end up going lower by the end of the day, even though we're the former trading day close is just still not that far of a percentage move away. Getting short around that 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time frame, you can get a 6 fill, still get pretty close to 5. I mean, if you're holding it for this long, going into that would be 1:30 Eastern Time frame. Pretty close to 10% still for that move but I certainly wouldn't be trying to force anything more out of that. If I saw it fall holding around 5.7, sweet, take that easy cash money as a short thesis for a very, very probable short trade, in my opinion, on that one. Still learning, still plotting to do for that style of trade, but man, getting closer to it becoming an important member of our playbook, at least in this market. Nothing really hard for me on the watch list. Some OTC tickers. RGBP had a nice little day. RGBP. Looking at nice little reclaim here, kind of in this breakout section. Let's do a daily. Yeah. Yeah, this recent little breakout the past month-ish. Big volume day on the 2nd here that we're looking to test that point, and that was also a technical high on the 8th of October here as well. So seeing if it had any strength to surpass that in the morning session. Didn't necessarily, kind of pull back a little bit, but great entry for trying to get around 2.6 here, playing for the increase, the slap to the upside of volume as it's coming out of the lunch session. An easy hold, not necessarily easy hold, still choppy, but never really breaking key levels, even though it looks pretty weak on there. Reverses immediately. Nice little overnight hold if I was to be holding this one going into Monday of next week, but I will not be holding that overnight. I need a lot more data to be holding these ones overnight as of right now. Other ones like AABB kind of back a little bit. Had a pretty nice update today. See if any more strength comes out of it. It's certainly going to be hard to try and reclaim that previous high. Where was that at? Looking at 286. Man, yeah, it's certainly going to need a lot of volume to push those types of levels once again, but we'll keep an eye on it. And then ILUS trading again today. Tapped a little bit of a breakout of 495, but pulled back. So just this one may need a little bit more time to cook before we get a real continuation past that $0.50 level above 50 cents. But again, keeping our eye on it. So that is really all I had. Keeping it nice and short and simple. Yeah, hard little day in the P&L, but geez, it just doesn't really affect me that hard. It's just all about combining that data to know where the next step's going to be for the future trade. It's living in the truth that, yeah, it is a $50, $60 loss on the day, which is tough compared to relatively what I've been losing and risking and getting in my winners in regard to what's my focus. Am I trying to be profitable right now, or am I trying to build an expandable trading meta to copy off of Facebook? Am I looking to just get green? Am I looking to just somehow, some way get money flowing into the account? Or am I trying to build repeatable routines and identity as a trader in myself that sets up for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road? Because I could totally become profitable by trading APDN no matter what price it is, just blindly, if I see it up in the pre-market, just getting short somewhere, somehow. Like, why would I not do that? Because I know at some point in the rest of this day, it's going to be a lower price than what my entry point is during this pre-market spike. Like all of these, whatever news catalyst it is, whatever the float is, they're going to have their crazy percentage moves, their little slapping of the bids, the asks in the pre-market. They attract in the retail traders, and then they just die off during market hours. It's just been rinse and repeat over and over again for all of these. And it's an easy thing to say, just get short at any point. If you're seeing it here, even if you get reversed on, it's breaking to a new high of day, screw risk level, right? You know with 99.9% certainty almost that this thing is going to trade lower than what you enter at pretty much at any point here in the pre-market after that 3-minute spike, of course. So it's just that thesis of hammering home once again that it's not about just being green at the end of the day. It seems really nice, and after having taken so many successive red days in a row, it's very easy and tempting for me to say, oh, just to get green, just to get one green trade under the belt again, to get, not even to get my confidence back, but to just start something rolling again. That's not my focus, because I know a green trade doesn't mean you're a good trader. You can get a green trade and just be stupid freaking lucky, or just stupid in general as well. So continuing to take everything with a grain of salt, every loss, every gain, through not my own perspective, but the idea of who do I see myself as a trader in 5 years? Of would he be looking at this with a bigger account size, trading that in the same light? Would he even take that style of trade? Who do I want to be? And just continuing to hammer that home over and over again, and keep the big picture in mind as well. It's a $60 loss today, which right now in my current situation just feels tough. It's not the greatest. It does feel pretty substantial, and just like, oh shoot, you know, it's $60, man. But how minuscule that is going to be in the future, that brings me a lot of joy and just a lot of comfort, and not trying to go even bigger, not just saying like, oh, I lost $1,000 today, but I know in the future that's just going to be so meaningless. That's going to be below my minimum risk level per trade. No, not thinking like that, but just, oh, the opportunity to get to look back at these videos in that 3, 4, 5 years and see the mentality from these days. It's certainly going to be my joy, and it brings a smile to my face to think about it like that. So that is all I wanted to talk about on the day. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys next week.